Believe, but it's week 9 in our 2025 Chronological Bible reading plan. And this week we are in the book of Numbers primarily, but we'll also take a look at one of the Psalms, one that Moses wrote. That's Psalm 90. But this week it's Numbers chapters 4 through 18. So let's talk about those, and then we'll talk about Psalm 90. As far as Numbers chapters 4 through 18, chapter 4, particular families within the sons of Levi are chosen to take care of the tent of meeting. And it's 3 groups, and they've all got particular things to do. There are over 8,000 of them who are going to take care of the tent of meeting. My goodness, if that doesn't encourage you to take care of your church buildings, I don't know what will. I know it's not the same thing, but we should learn a lesson from that. Hey, what the Lord gives us, let's take care of. It's actually a really good principle. Also, chapter 5, more commands are given concerning the priest. Chapter 6, the law of the Nazarite, and the Nazarite vow is described. Chapters 7 and 8, the tent of meeting is set up. It's already been erected, but now we're going to look at the offerings that the tribes bring, and they're substantial, and each of the tribes are going to do that. And then the priests are dealt with as far as their cleansings. That's also described. Chapter 9 of the book of Numbers, we learn that it's been 1 year since the Israelites have left Egypt. The Exodus, year number 2 is at hand. And God talks about an additional allowance for Passover that comes a month after the normal Passover. You'll read about that. Chapter 10, Israel finally sets out from Mount Sinai, and now they begin the trek toward Canaan. And what should take about 2 weeks is only going to take 39 more years. It wasn't a GPS issue. It was a sin issue. Oh, so often it is, right? How about chapters 11 and 12? The Israelites, what do? They complain some more. I know, surprise, surprise. But thankfully, we're nothing like that, right? No. We are all too like them. It is so easy to grumble, so easy to complain. And the Lord will bring discipline for that. Even Moses' siblings will complain against him. Miriam complains, Aaron complains, and the Lord brings some pretty swift consequences, pretty severe consequences, but he at least pardons their lives. Chapters 13 and 14, we read about the 12 men chosen, one from each tribe, to go spy out the land of Canaan. And it's a great land, and God says he's going to give it, but 10 of them come back and say, no, it's too much, can't be done. Joshua and Caleb say, oh, wait a second, God has promised it to us, but still the 10 will not listen. They give a bad report, and a majority of the people believe them instead of Caleb and Joshua. And there are very severe consequences for that unbelief. In chapter 15, the Lord gives offering instructions. More offering instructions for when Israel will enter into the promised land. And even though that's still 4 decades away, he is preparing them for that already. Chapter 16, my goodness, the rebellion of Korah. And there's some people who follow him. Now, Korah is a Levite, but he and some others rebel against Moses and Aaron. And the Lord deals with them in the most severe terms. They perish. They are swallowed up alive by the ground. And that's what the Lord tells Moses to tell them. That's what's going to happen. And it does. Chapters 17 and 18, the Lord shows his choice of Aaron as one of the leaders, but also as that high priest. He does this with 12 rods. You'll read all about that. It's an interesting read. And then some things to keep in mind from these chapters in Numbers. Folks, God is holy. Sin has a high cost, and I know that's repetitive, but it should be driven into our minds and hearts. God is to be obeyed, and he is very particular. He doesn't leave it up to us to figure it out. Also, the Israelites continue to learn nothing about when we complain, it doesn't go very well. Sometimes there are legitimate complaints, but more than likely they're illegitimate because they're more self-serving. So they learn that very painful lesson. Complain, and usually you're going to face some severe consequences. Be careful about that complaining because, again, it is so easy to do. So just take a a hard, long look at that. And then finally, Psalm 90. This psalm written by Moses. The verse I will emphasize is verse 2. That's where Moses talks about God's eternality. In Hebrew, this is a way to say that, from everlasting to everlasting. And those are the words that Moses writes. Also, some things about this psalm. Remember, psalms are prayers. And yeah, you usually sing them, but they're prayers. So we can learn about how to pray even from reading the Old Testament Psalms. So there you go. Until next week, God's grace to you in reading these very, very stern chapters, but they are worth it. God is worthy to be praised. Have a great week.